You don't have hatred in your heart. It's just passion that doesn't have a place to go. And this is something that I realized relatively recently, I think, with starting this series. With the gym specifically, I used to always go to the gym and I would channel my energy from a place of hatred. And I thought that maybe that's something that helps me, and it's something that I need, is to just tap into my anger, to get into that certain state, to lift heavier and to have that energy. I used to always think that negative energy, it was almost like a form of therapy in the gym, was just getting really angry and upset with myself and all the things that I'm going through at a certain moment. Instead of giving that to God, I would just channel it and let it out through the gym. And I think that can be, a good thing to do every now and then. But it became something that was definitely negative throughout every facet of my life, because I started to try and channel anger in almost everything in order to show passion. And I think that the two are very, very similar. It can be misconstrued and misunderstood really easily, especially for somebody who is really, really passionate like myself. I used to think that I didn't have a purpose, I didn't have a passion, I didn't know exactly what I was put here to do. And I would get angry and I would think I'm just an angry, bitter person. And that's just something that's deep inside of me. I never showed it, but I would let it out in the gym, and it was like my secret weapon to be stronger, is just to let out anger. But I think that was just the passion and the purpose in my heart that wasn't being fulfilled. And whenever I would, like I said, it leaks into other facets of life. Whenever I would get in arguments, or not even get in arguments, whenever I would want to pursue something that was business oriented, or basically anything, if I felt myself being mellowed out in the moment and not as passionate or advantageous or inspired in the moment, I would get angry, and I would channel that anger. I would almost try to feed into it, and it would make me just a little bit more dialed in. And I feel like I was doing that. Obviously, that's not a good thing to do. That's obviously very negative. I should give it to God. And I think whenever you can combine your passion with your love for something, that's whenever it becomes something that's truly beautiful, and that's when your passion turns into a purpose. Rather than you just being passionate and misconstruing it for anger, you are actually doing something that is worth doing, worth pursuing. So the message for today is, you're not an angry person, you're not a sad person, you're not a negative person in general. That's how I felt for a long time. Even though I always show myself to everybody that knows me, I always showed myself as a very outgoing, loving, kind individual. And that's not me trying to pat myself on the back. It was honestly ended up being more of a negative thing than anything, because I was never really showing when I was sad. I was holding that in to everybody. Nobody saw when Gage was upset. Nobody saw when Gage was hurting. Rarely would they. And I just would get that out in the gym. I would get that out in random moments, and people wouldn't understand why I might, feel like I explode or have a short fuse every now and then. And it was because I wasn't handling my emotions in a positive way, and I also wasn't mitigating my passion. I wasn't pursuing anything that was meaningful. I was obviously trying to get closer to God, but I wasn't listening to the messages He was trying to tell me. I was so focused on just being successful. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to make money, and that was success to me. And now that I focus more on getting closer to God and pursuing a passion that I believe is ordained with His Word, and I feel like He's ordaining my footsteps now, and what I'm pursuing is something that is going to not just be beneficial for myself, and my intention isn't to make money doing it. I've seen more financial gain than I ever have, and I've seen more opportunity than I ever have, and I've felt more passionate than I've ever had. Now that when I'm in the gym, I need to channel strength. I don't do it through anger. And yeah, if I'm having a rough time, I still use anger, because I think God gives us emotions for a reason. I think you can positively use a negative emotion, but that doesn't mean that you should rely on it and use it all the time. So that's basically the message. I just wanted to say that if you feel like you're negative, sad, angry, forgive me for saying I'm trying to get better. Negative, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm gonna take a pause, it's okay. What is the word whenever you are depressed? Why was that so difficult for me? Whenever you're not a depressed, negative, angry, emotional person, you're just somebody who has a lot of passion that doesn't know where to put it, and it gets misplaced. So find your passion, get closer to God, try to be kind, and be kind to yourself above all else. well, not above all else, but be kind to yourself in the same sense that you would to others. So that's the message for today. And you know what? That's not the message for today. That's just guided me into something else I wanted to talk about. I think, especially for myself, I try to be conscientiously kind to others. And that's something I've done for a while now, especially with this series, is just like be kind, go out of my way to be kind. But I'm not very kind to myself. Whenever I mess up, there's no room for error. Whenever I do something silly, there's no room for error. Whenever I hurt somebody else, there's no room for error. And it doesn't mean that I shouldn't hold myself accountable, but I shouldn't beat myself up because of it. I should talk to God, figure out what I did wrong, and be kind to myself in the same sense I would to somebody else who made the same mistake. If I miss a workout, it's okay. If I hurt somebody's feelings, it's not necessarily okay, but I should talk to that person and fix it instead of just beating myself up mentally and physically. So that's the message. Be kind to yourself, find your passion, and realize that you're not just an angry, depressed, negative person. You just have to put your passion in the right place. So that's the message. Forgive me for it being so long-winded. As always, have a blessed one.